Káàárọ̀ sà.
Okay, everybody, good afternoon, good evening, good afternoon and good evening, I think. So that's going to be I think that should be the setting. Everybody should be, it should be either in an afternoon or evening, except for people probably are watching us from Australia. would, most likely be. Okay, everybody, good afternoon, good evening in a different time zone. Okay, so sorry about all of that, technical stuff. Okay, people are already on YouTube, and that's interesting. I'm trying to see if I can actually get this done to Facebook. I think I also need to send the link out quickly. Today's show is going to be very interesting, and I want to believe that people are going to benefit a lot from the episodes we'll be having this month rather, starting from now on. We're going to run this through the month of April, and we'll be talking more about if you are pinging me, please stop sending me messages right now. We are going to be talking more about this. We'll be talking about this issue throughout the month of April, and I trust God that it's going to be a blessing to everyone who take time out to participate and to enjoy. We'll be dealing with fertility. I think I do this almost every year, where we talk about fertility, and I think our fertility class, female reproductive and sexual health class, we've had one this year. I think that class runs about. We do that class, I think, 2 times in a year. So we've had one this year. Another one probably would be towards the 3rd or the 4th quarter of the year. But notwithstanding, we'll be doing this at this time, and I strongly believe that a lot of people will benefit from this because of the so many information out there. A whole lot is going on. People are actually doing a lot because of conception, and really, I believe that people who want to have kids shouldn't be denied of that privilege with where science has gotten to right now. And so we'll be discussing a whole lot about this in the course of this program for the next 4 weeks. So my advice is that you should please stay with us for the next 4 weeks, and then be a participant. And then again, we'll take your questions if you have any. In the course of this program, if you really need to reach out, please reach out to us. We'll be glad and willing to actually offer our help where we can. As usual, I always have a group with me. Started this year just because I don't want to be the only person sitting on this chair and talking to myself most of the time. No, I don't talk to myself. I know people are listening and participating, but I just feel like we can do better, and then have more people who are also practitioners in their own right in the things they do. This year, I decided to change my approach to the entire concept of how we deliver services and intracerebral solution. One of the things that I'm incorporating this year, or we will be doing, is that approach of that holistic approach. We want to bring in more things that will make the methods and the things we do to be much more holistic, okay? And that will include us embracing so many other practitioners, people who are doing great things in other fields that are related. And so we'll be doing that this year. Another thing we'll be doing is to actually look at the psychological aspect of health when it comes to mental health, when it comes to the fact that even your healing would start first from your mind. And that is because, in biology and in science, we know that the human body the smallest and the minutest part of the human body is, it's the cell, okay? But the truth again is that it is not just the cell that is the smallest unit, it's not the cell. The reason is that the thought, your thought actually, they are the smallest units. And you can't actually quantify, you can't hold your thoughts, you can't see your thoughts, but they are there. And they do a whole lot. They define a whole lot about you, about, a whole lot about you. So I say to people that we need to start looking at healing from what happens in the mind of an individual. How does an individual perceive healing? How does an individual approach healing? First, aside all the medications, aside all the care that is given, you want to first of all start your healing process in your mind. If you believe it, that you can be healed and the things that you are using would work for you, they definitely will work for you. But if you do not believe it, no matter what's been applied, no matter the method, it's just going to be a waste of your time and the time of...
Hello, sir.
Okay, so where we stand right now, I'll be bringing in the other members who are on the panel, like I said, who are also professionals in their own right, doing what they know how to do best in their own right. They will also be joining us. They'll be joining me. They've been joining me, and they will also join me today on this program. I don't know why. What's wrong with Eniola is not joining? What's going on? Okay. All right. Ivana is not here. Peace is here. Peace Ajayi is here in the studio. Madam, what's going on?
Hi, everyone.
We heard you saying what's going on there in the background.
No, I was asking for water.
Oh, okay.
And your haircut is nice.
Thank you. I'm just trying to be humble.
Abby, for April, right?
Thank you. How's your week been? Jumoke is at work, but she's also online. I think she's going to join us. I mean, she was going to just come in at some point. Oh, she's here. Madam, show your face. Don't show us that thing you are holding in your hand. You're already online. Which one? What's this one you are seeing? You are showing us. What's it? That's the bottle of what is that one? Okay. So Chiwake is working in a salon, I guess. So when it's time for her to talk, she would unmute herself and join in the conversation. All right, so what's going on out there today? I really do not want to. At first, I feel like so much is going on out there, and my greatest advice right now is to ensure that you protect your mind. How you're going to protect your mind will probably include you shutting off yourself from the various negative news all around us. When COVID came, it was such a huge challenge to help people maintain their mental balance because of the various negative news, traveling all across. You had people people were losing loved ones. The numbers of people that were infected and dying was on the increase. And right now, it doesn't look like it is better right now. COVID seems to be out of COVID. And right now, it does look like we are now in something differently, which is the war between Russia and Ukraine. And yesterday, personally, I think I saw something that probably I shouldn't be bothered saying. And that was when they were showing on CNN. It wasn't on CNN, it was probably almost on all the news channel yesterday. Corpses of people that were killed and shot right on the streets in Ukraine by the Russian army, and their dead bodies littered the street. And then, I don't know for what purpose. It's very disturbing. very disturbing. And that's coupled with the news coming from Nigeria about the security issue that is becoming another menace right now. And I don't know where to start from with that case, with that situation. I know that it seems like the entire system is overwhelmed by the security issue. And, you know, it does look like some people are just, some people are making money from this business, from the insecurity arising from that country. And so you have the case of, people traveling, they were bombed on the train. One of my clients I was speaking with today in consultation was telling me that he traveled that road by train. I didn't even want to talk to him because I didn't want to ask him or talk about, thank God you did not travel on that road on the day it was bombed. But how do you explain about 193 or 136 people who boarded the train without buying tickets? They were not on the manifest. There is no trace, no track, nothing for all of these people. And all in the middle of the trip, I mean, what we learned was that about 346 tickets were sold, but about 800 people were on board of the train or on board the train. I mean, that's a huge security risk, right? And some people are still, that's even the chaotic part of it. Some people were killed, some people were kidnapped, and some people have not even been accounted for as we speak. You can imagine what the families of people are going through right now. But like I said, the days ahead might be a bit, the news coming from this side might be a bit disturbing. You want to protect your mental health. If it's possible for you to shut down from the media so as to be sane, you might want to do that. A whole lot is happening. After the lockdown, a lot of people feel, I mean, the mental balance of many people is not just there. And we're going to start seeing that played out, you know, just the last week in my city where I live, somebody whose driver's license had been suspended, he shouldn't drive, he had medical issues, he got on a car, it's SUV, and he was driving at 150 kilometers per hour on the street. That shouldn't drive, you shouldn't have more than 40 kilometers per hour. He ran over two pedestrians and then ran into a flatbed trailer. The entire side of that SUV, everything cleared off. And the two other people, the three of them died on the spot, the driver and the two pedestrians. You know, and so you have, there is a lot going on, and that's why we will not stop talking about the aspect of mental health. Whatever is going to disturb your mental health, I think you should find a way of preserving yourself and shutting yourself or shutting those things out of your system, no matter what it is. If there are financial issues, if there are marital issues, relationship issues, you really need to ensure that you protect your mental health as much as you can. You need to preserve your space and keep yourself within the balance. All right, so let's go right to today's topic. I began, Mama Coach, we are not seeing your face. This one you return from Dubai. You are now holding your face. Eniola, what's going on? Ari won't be able to join us today. Eniola, are you there? Okay. Just hold on. Let me do an introduction. Then I will bring you back into the. Okay, well, don't worry. You guys can just come in immediately. Let me bring all of you in. At Spotlight. Let me also add for peace. All right. So I guess people know you guys already by now. If you don't know them, Peace Ajayi is here in Canada. She is an entrepreneur, a mompreneur. She is also dealing in herbal products, natural products. She's a major distributor. You can follow Peace on Instagram on Vena Peace. Okay, people know her all over Canada. She's the Yala J of Canada, Igwe one. And Eniola is Ella is known as Mama Coach on her social media handles. She trains women, mothers how to be self-sufficient, and then she's also an entrepreneur herself, doing her own business. She's into plant stem cell, and her brand she pushes is Miracell. Peace pushes Oh, sorry.
Reader bitters.
Okay.
Reader bitters.
Don't talk about the other one here because they won't pay.
Reader bitters.
But she's doing bitters. And you can see Jumoke is in she showed up her face earlier on. You can see her now. She's doing what she knows how to do best, making people saving them from the kind of thing that can make their husband behave like Will Smith. It's not what you are doing. Helping people from suffering from alopecia and the like. That's what you are doing now. So yeah, and then you can also follow Jumoke on all things natural. That's her brand, and that's how she has a line of products she pushes. You want to patronize them. The products, all the people that are on our show, the things they do, the products they push are natural, organic. There are things that when you use, there are no side effects to them. They provide you with alternatives that will help you and not harm you. The other person who is not here today is Irene. Irene doesn't push a product, she pushes a service. Okay, so Irene is an intimacy expert. And so when it comes to, I think she also has products, but not a brand. Okay, she's an intimacy expert, but she can't join us today. Hopefully she'll be joining us next week. Let me remove this woman from salon. Okay, so back to the discourse. So last week with Jumoke, we began this conversation because it was one of the things going around right now. The baby factory business that is booming all over Africa. In the Western world, we know that surrogacy is legalized and it's controlled, regulated. People, would approach surrogates to help them through. But in Africa, it is not the case. There are lots of testimonies that are shared in churches today, and people do not really tell us what went on, what went down. And then people just, oh, praise God. I read something on Instagram. I have a friend, a lot of you would know him. And then he said somebody sent him the message that she took you. She called her pastor, and her pastor told her to go get medications, and she got medications and was okay. And then the pastor went to church and shared testimony that he was the one who prayed for her to make her okay. That his prayer worked. And then she now said, now she's having another problem, that she's not going to call her pastor. She's just going to buy medication straight off. Let somebody not take her to shine or something like that. Well, the point is that there are so many testimonies of fertility, of conception that comes up in our churches, that people just share those testimonies without giving a breakdown. And one of the concerning testimonies are those testimonies of conception, of people who had waited on the Lord, but people they don't ever get to tell people what they did. Was it IVF? Was it through surrogacy? Because we have seen cases and testimonies. I've had about 2 cases like that of women who went to church testify. They were above 65, and at 65, God blessed them with a set of twins. But at the end of the day, it was discovered those children were stolen. Okay? The factories we have in Africa, in fact, the latest one in Lagos had to deal with a case of people who even have experts. They have gynecologists, they have nutritionists, they have experts taking care of these young teenage girls. They house them, feed them well. As in, I don't want to mention the part of Lagos where they are located. It's an eyebrow. They don't put them in the slums. This one standardized their practice. The only thing wrong with them is that they are not doing it legally. All right, so they take care of these ladies, ensure they have medical checkup, feed them properly, and then they go. When it's time for them to conceive, so this is the other thing. So they have a duplicate fertility clinic where those people who want to conceive go to. So they keep giving those ones some injections, some hormones, whatever, to make them feel like they are pregnant. And so when it's time for the ladies who are pregnant, really pregnant, to deliver, towards EDD, they admit those ones who have paid to take over the child. Okay, they admit them, and then they are induced, and then they also think they went through labor. Before you know it, they sleep off or whatever, and then they bring the babies. And so they give you the baby and they tell you, it is your baby. I don't know. The level, I mean, when I read that story, I felt like this looks too organized, too smooth. And I'm like, God forbid, in the case of an emergency where life needs to be saved, probably there's a need for a transplant or for a blood transfusion, and then it is then, because in many cases before now, it's at that point that many people discover that the paternity issue comes up, the child does not belong to the mother, not to the father. And then, so that was what led to this. I'm just giving a kind of a background. And so we began to ask questions. Why are people ashamed of having kids through surrogacy? Why are people ashamed of having IVF? The most common, ridiculous one in 2022 are women who want to deliver like the Hebrew women. That is the most ridiculous nonsense.
Funny, but it's not funny.
Who want to deliver like the Hebrew woman? You are not Hebrew. You are Igbo. And sincerely on this show,
That's funny, but it's not funny.
I do tell people that there is a way to feed for conception. There is a way to feed during conception, and there is a way to feed after conception. There are 3 different phases of every woman. And there have been women that after delivery, 10 years, 12 years, some of them have never gone back to their normal state of health. 10 years after delivery. Some people carry conditions, high blood pressure, all kinds of conditions after delivery. And in Africa, when a woman puts to bed, everybody is coming to greet her from the hospital. A woman who still needs to rest. And even some women say, if you don't go to greet them, they will be angry with you. I put to bed, he didn't come. Nobody should come to disturb you. And so even cesarean section is stigmatized, and people believe that if your birth, I don't want to use the word natural birth because I don't even know what that means anymore. When you say it's natural birth, what does it mean? That the person who has cesarean section was not natural? But there is no birth process that is not natural, and there is no birth process that is not aided. Because you want to say, okay, CS is assisted. Abi? There is no birth, even you, ordinary push is an assistance. push is an assistance, so you were assisted.
Really?
So we need to start removing the stigma. What makes a woman or a mother shouldn't be the process through which she delivered a baby. And I just give a background of the conversation, and then we're going to open it up. And you know what funny thing? Some of women shame women a lot. Women supporting women. Unfortunately, the week in Nigeria where they were campaigning women supporting women was the week some women were exchanging slaps in Nigeria, supporting themselves with hot slaps before the slap now went global. And Will Smith picked it up. What I'm trying to say is this, that it's unfortunate when you now see that most of the times it is women in the family, probably of the husband, that would start with the stigma on another woman. Like, oh, she's not a woman. Oh, what did she do? She not. In fact, they start by saying, oh, you were lazy. What does that even mean? That a woman who carries a baby through 9 months is lazy. So the one that is hardworking is the one. Today you are women. You're women who you have gone through this process. I believe there are also men that will go on leave. They will either travel when their wives are about to put to bed, because they cannot stand, the process. I have 2 kids, and I'm so proud to say that I mean, I was there. I saw the whole process. I wouldn't have been absent anyway. So I had to be there. And then, if anything, I believe so, because some men can't even stand the process. There are men who will just say, let's go and do this, yes, and take it out. But we want to educate both men and women, because sometimes it's even the men. Some men will succumb to the pressure from their mothers, from their parents. I don't even know who is ruling who anyway. Oh, she has to go. And many women have lost their lives in the process. Yeah. Many women. It's unfortunate that in 2022, we are still talking about this issue, but we must talk about it. We must enlighten people about what is going on. So I don't know. Has either of you had a cesarean section before? All right, you want okay, yeah. Jumoke has not, but last week she was able to share with us the story of somebody who was going to. She talked about her own delivery process. Can you talk about your delivery process? Which one? Like I always tell my clients to, no two deliveries are the same. No two pregnancies are the same. There are those pregnancies you will have. It will be like, it went smooth. There are friends that you will have that all you'll be craving will be amala. And the second one, all you'll be craving will be pancake, yeah. And all of that. So what do you remember? What can you talk about? Let's talk about these experiences today, sharing your own experiences and also the experience of some of your clients as regards these issues. Natural, like I said, I don't want to use natural birth because all the births are natural. And so, there is none that is not natural. They are all natural, and they are all assisted. Okay, so cesarean section or, non-cesarean section birth. So let's talk about them. Over to you. Who is going first?
I could go.
All right.
I cannot even remember mine now.
It's been long.
It's been I remember. Let's Peace go first. Okay.
Have you hung your boots? You should.
Yeah, okay. 4 children. Hey,
Okay.
very cool.
Well, let's bring you to Canada so that you can come and give back to the next prime minister.
Okay. I don't think I can forget mine in a long time. I don't think I can because I'm also one of those Hebrew women too.
We see you.
So my 2 pregnancies were not the same. For the first one, I grew so big. I added about 20 kg. Yeah, I added about 20 kg. I lost my voice. When you call me on phone, you think it's a man you're talking to. That was how bad my voice.
I your voice.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to think it was abnormal until I had a colleague in FCMB who lost her voice too. When you call you like, hey, what's up? How you doing? That was the way I was sounding. Hey, I'm fine and good. So you would think when you hear my voice, you would think like I'm like Yokozuna. No, that's seriously speaking. and my body was retaining fluid. My body was retaining fluid. I was just so lucky that it didn't turn out to be edema, but my body was retaining fluid. And I had I loved eating spicy food for my first pregnancy. The delivery, my water broke on my EDD, but my labor wasn't progressing. So they had to give me oxytocin via the drip. So I was induced for my first delivery, and I thought that was hell. I didn't know that was just child's play compared to the one I had for my second child. So for my second child, I spent 42 weeks.
What?
Yeah.
42 weeks?
Yes. I didn't want to.
I have 2 weeks more.
Yeah, 2 weeks more. No contraction, nothing. She was just in there making up and just applying lipstick.
Applying makeup.
Applying makeup. Because when she came out, she had very pink cheeks, like as if she had blush. Everything. So the doctors were like, Abajo, she was taking
She didn't want to show up anyhow. She wanted to show up,
So for the second one, I wasn't contracting. Unlike the first one that I was contracting, but it wasn't progressing. Then for the first one, I also had placenta retention. Yeah, wow. I had placenta retention. So that one, it was bad because the doctor initially tried using forceps. The matron tried using forceps initially. They had to stop because it was attached here.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So the whole hand had to go in.
Go in, and forceps wouldn't go in.
Yeah, the whole hand had to go in to carefully detach it from the walls of my womb. So because of that scary experience, it was so bad that when I had my first child, my husband was busy taking pictures. He was like, where's my wife? Where's my wife? Where's my wife? I was still inside. When he came in, he opened the door, he just saw the heap of blood in front of me. I was like, is this the blood? He didn't know when he said, is this the blood of a cow or what? Mommy just held his mouth. I started praying because that was the extent of bleeding that I had. But luckily for me, as soon as the baby was out and the placenta was out, I just felt all supernatural strength because I know the only thing I could say then is the Lord is my strength. That was the first pregnancy. For the second pregnancy, I wasn't contracting at all.
Wow.
So a friend of mine whose wife is a doctor just called me up that day. I'd taken my vacation like 3 weeks before my delivery because I was tired. And I was always having acid reflux. Acid reflux, yeah. Yes, my blood sugar was always very low. I was always feeling very tired and exhausted. So I just started my maternity leave on time.
Okay.
For the delivery itself, when the man called me and said, come, my wife is a doctor and I know what it means when you have overstayed your due date.
Yeah, the due date.
Go to the hospital. Don't faith anything again. Go to the hospital. So I went to the hospital. They checked. They were like, the amniotic fluid had decreased drastically, and that the heartbeat of the baby, they couldn't really feel it. It's not strong, and that baby had to come out latest by the next day. So they just booked me in. They gave me Cyclotech.
Okay.
Cyclotech. They would have it's like Puritin. So imagine cutting Puritin into 4. And the max a human being can take is 2. That's half of that. If they gave me the first one, they're like, don't worry, in 6 hours, max 7 hours, you should have put to bed. When they came back the next day, I was still normal. They're like, if they give you this second one and you don't fall into labor, they would have to take the baby out through CS. I was like, okay. No, I was still talking.
Okay, hold on. I'll stop you there. So when they told you CS was an option, how did you feel? Because that is the cocoa of this. It's one of the major things about this. This show today. What ran through your mind at that point of CS mentioned when it was mentioned?
Okay, no, for me at that point in time, when they said CS, I just said, don't worry, I'll give birth. I didn't even think CS was not an option in my mind. Yeah, so
okay, so hold on. Really, because sincerely, this is where it starts from.
Exactly.
An average woman in pregnancy in Nigeria mentions CS.
It's a taboo. Go for me.
What did they say? Tofiakwa. Not for my enemy. Okay, so what are the fears? I mean, those are the things we want to talk about. Some people are online sending us messages. Florence and Maguire. Oh, Flo. Viewpoint Ministries. There is Adeolu Olukoya. Yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. Yeah, some people are online watching and they are kind of, sending us a few messages. Now, what exactly is this fear? What comes to the mind of an average Nigerian woman who is pregnant and at the mention of CS? What exactly is it?
Maybe back then, Back, Jumoke, would you mute your mic, please?
However, it stayed wet.
Okay, I'll mute. Okay, don't worry. I'll mute it.
Okay. So I think back then it had to do with more of doctrine and what had been passed down to us. Then technology was not as sound as it is now. Yes. Right. And it was not affordable. Now, most as at that time, yes, as at that time, just very few hospitals do CS, and those that even do the CS, how many of them have all the equipments? You understand? How many of them have how many of them have generators that are working, that are functional? You wouldn't want
please wait. It's not the hospital, because sincerely, I have seen a case where a CS was to be performed.
Yeah.
The hospital made generator packed up. They switch over to the next generator that also packed up. Oh yes.
It's part of the Niger factor is enough.
The factor.
If I was going to have CS abroad, if I was going to have CS abroad, then fine.
Please. At that point, should I take what I mean? You think they should call Maikano to send the generator? No, they call the church. And we began to pray for Peter, like we're praying for Peter to be released from prison. Will I blame them because of the truth? Even for church services, is power not part of our prayer point? God, let them not strike. I have seen big churches with big money that have big events that the generator will just pack up.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said, we've had people, I mean, there is nobody, you would know somebody who passed in the process of, child labor and all of that. I do think, one other thing you mentioned, I do think is important is the aspect of cost.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is right now. Let me tell you the experience I had when my first son was going to come. Then that was about 2008, about 14 years ago. And the doctor was telling us that he was going to charge 650,000 naira.
Back then.
Oh yes, it was the most expensive hospital in Abuja. The guy was perceived to be the all and all, the alpha and the omega. In fact, it's like if you cannot go abroad, that is the next place to go. And when he said 650, guess what I said? I said, how much will I pay God? Who gave the baby? if you want for 650, what did you do for the job? I tell you, I was just praying one day, and the Holy Spirit told me that I should look for another alternative. And I went for an alternative opinion where I met a doctor, a gynecologist who is a member of Christ Embassy. And the moment the guy saw, and the guy was like, no, this is going to be, nothing's going to go wrong. Don't worry, I'm going to be in charge of this and everything. And true to it, we prayed. And then it was just, I said, it was smooth, And I was wondering, somebody would have just taken my 650,000 naira, just like that.
Then another thing in Nigeria back then was that it was more of a money-making venture, because I had
exactly because
nothing was wrong with they could deliver just because they had their first child through cesarean. Once you had your first child through cesarean, it is cesarean all through. They won't even give you that opportunity to try to push yourself. You understand? And you're coming to the hospital. They're already prepping your mind that okay.
Oh yeah.
Yes, this is you have to prepare for. And I'm like, no. So for me, it's not just, even though I'm educated or enlightened, let me try. I have not fallen into labor. If you give me the second one, and I still do not fall into labor, then fine. But don't make it look like that's the only.
That is the only alternative, the only option that is available. All right. So now let me bring in Eniola. Eniola, I have not forgotten you ran away to Dubai. And we saw you doing all the Dubai paparazzi. We thought you would join the program from Dubai so that people can see you from Dubai. But you refused. But no.
I tried though, but we had an event that clashed with the time. Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought you were to say Dubai. I thought you told there was no connection.
No. There was connection. We had an event that actually clashed.
Okay, that's fine.
It's good to be back.
Right. We missed you when you were away in Dubai, so it's nice to have you. One of the things that Chris talked about now was the issue of the cost, which scares of many people. And as a matter of fact, the cost could be an issue. Even right now, I do think, I don't know, the Lagos State government had plans to, for helping people who are going to put to bed, but I'm not sure what that plan entails, because I still hear stories of people who keeps running around when their wives go into labor. They're running around for money, like money is involved. And I want to believe, is it because of the CS that people run around for that kind of funds and stuff like that? So what has been your own experience? Apart from the issue of funds, we talked about the issue of, Peace mentioned the issue of the hospital themselves, and the Nigerian factor, which has to deal with electricity. Of course, I must also tell you this, that I have a friend in Canada who was going to put to bed, and then power went out. Yes, but it was restored. So sometimes some of these things are not peculiar to Nigeria. That's not the point I wanted to make. They are not peculiar to Nigeria. But you don't see people have that kind of apprehension, like people have in Nigeria when it comes to, I want to have CS. So what are the other things we are missing? Peter started talking about like the expertise of the hospital. Maybe we should talk more about that. But I want to spare the doctors for when we are going to have a doctor in the house, because what you just said now is very true. There are doctors, hospitals you go to from the beginning. They will start prepping your mind for CS because they know they're going to make more money if you go through CS, even without any reason. And you can go ahead and talk, because I want to talk again on what are those things that could actually necessitate CS for a person. So what are the other things that make you as a Nigerian woman, as an African woman, because all this your Women's Day that you people are doing, I do think these are the issues that should be brought to the fore and be discussed. I believe these are issues to talk about. What is the level of healthcare access for an average woman who is living in Africa? How do they access healthcare? How do they go to the hospital? How do they get, get tested? Pregnancy test. Here people are already fighting for free. Is it here or Switzerland? Where they're already advocating for free sanitary pads. That women should not be paying for sanitary pads. Because men don't have periods doesn't mean, the women who have periods, that's an added expenses on their budget, monthly expenses. Either they will remove the tax or they will give them pads for free. But I was like, in Africa, who cares? Nobody cares. If you like use anything, use leave. Nobody is sending you. So what are the other things, the other factors that could probably come to the mind of African women that will make them scared or make them not to want to take CS as an option during child delivery?
All right. Let me start by saying that I actually wanted CS.
Oh, really? Why?
Yeah. For a funny reason anyway. When I only wanted 2 kids. My husband too wanted 2 kids. He wanted girls, I wanted boys. So we had the first 2 girls. First were girls, maybe because he really wanted the girls and he kept declaring he was going to have girls. He even said they will have long hair, and all his girls have long hair. Actually, it's both girls. But I wasn't really, so when I took it with my second child, I wanted CS so that while the CS was while I was doing CS, they would do a tubal ligation for me at the same time. I didn't want to have any other kids, but then my husband would not allow that. So I never knew that CS was an issue until I started becoming very active in women's group on Facebook. And that's when I started hearing you have to deliver like an Hebrew woman. I didn't see any big deal with CS other than the risk of surgery, it's a 50-50 thing. Is either you survive or you don't, especially in Nigeria here. That was just the only thing I saw. So I need that, okay, if I'm going for surgery, I need to be sure, carefully choose the hospital and pray about it. Like each time I'm even going for delivery, I always pray that I will not be victim of or somebody's carelessness, which happens a lot in this part in Nigeria and in Africa generally. So I didn't see that as a big deal. But when I started finding out, I was shocked. And funny enough, I lost someone that was very dear to me about 3 years ago now. This was someone that today should be alive. And she was a member of my church, a powerful music minister, Chidinma. Her death was very painful. It shocked a lot of us. Of course, she didn't have sufficient fund to take care of her, pay her hospital bills, but the church was taking care of her. And her mom we blamed her mom, but then we had to let go. She belonged to a different denomination, and they just didn't believe in yes. And the girl died. It was so painful till now.
Religious
belief, because that's she was a potential, snatch. If you talk about Chidinma in Christ Embassy, she was a potential snatch. So it was a great loss, something that could have been avoided. So I'm really against all these women. What is it about the whole thing?
Let's talk about these religious things. Please, I don't mind calling out churches or denominations at this point. I know that there are denominations that don't even believe in taking medications.
Yes.
When I started this journey of health and wellness about almost 10 years now, there were people who ostracized me. I wasn't bothered because my mentor was also ostracized. They said we are backsliding because we are teaching people how to eat well. We don't believe anymore in the power of healing, blah, blah, blah. And so many of them, today, most of those general overseers, they declare 40 days, not 40 days fast though, 40 days healthy eating challenge in their churches now. But after they have lost members, after they've had some terrible experiences, and sincerely, there are still some denominations who don't believe in medications. They don't believe in the hospital. Let's talk about them. Let's talk about
churches that don't believe, but their pastors are secretly taking care of themselves. They secretly use medications. That's the eyes of hypocrisy. Their churches, they declare it though, but they secretly
let me tell you a joke.
They use medications.
This is not even a joke. This is a true life story. I belong to a church where every January, I grew up in that church, every January we will have 30 days of fast. And then on the way to the church, there is one buka, Mama Put. You have to enter the Mama Put. Then once you enter, nobody will see you because in front is always crowded. Those days, I was in year 1. So this pastor, when it's time to pray, we will fast till 6, come to church for the prayers, then they will pray. So all of us now that we have been fasting, we won't have energy sometimes, even to pray, the energy is not there. But this pastor will just come, you must pray, and it will be the honor will be so much. We never knew until one day I was just forming myself and Obega. We were going to church and we passed through the buka. So the wind blew, those buka, they have this cutting, this white. Yes. The wind blew that white thing away. But who did we see inside? I said, Obega, today, when we get to church and this man says, pray, I won't kill myself. I will just take my time. Now, you see, this matter, what you just said now, maybe talk about that. There are many pastors who are taking medications, assessing healthcare. Their members are not aware. Some of them did not even outrightly condemn some of these practices. Maybe by body language, by inferences or whatever, their members picked it up and they made it a doctrine. But some of these pastors, they go, in fact, some travel abroad for medical checkup. And here you are thinking that you are being loyal to the doctrine of your church and you are dying. And like the case you mentioned, that is that was very ridiculous. And I know some churches that I don't want to mention. We should mention their names anyway. There are lots of them carrying about this devilish doctrine. Somebody woke up, although she came up to say she didn't say that if you're eating Titus, you cannot make heaven. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
But you can't make heaven.
And there are people who are in that church sitting there saying amen to whatever. That person needs to be checked. Is she normal? There are religious beliefs. I also want to talk about the cultural beliefs, not just religious beliefs. There are also cultural beliefs against Caesarean section. There are cultural beliefs. There are people in their culture, they don't believe it. Then they will go and bring you some herbs. Yeah, I understand what those herbs can do. I know some of the herbs that can be used, that can, like what they gave to, what picture she was given, that drug she was given, that medication she was given. There are herbs that can do that. It's just to induce the labor and make and speed it up. What they are putting into you are just some hormones that are going to activate it beyond normal. And that is what most likely is going to be.
But when a baby is breech, there is no herb that can turn a baby.
No herb can. Well, okay. So what did they do in those days? That's how you find that the infant mortality rate was high. Because when you have a breech child, there is nothing any traditional. What do you call it right now? What do you call those traditional women who helps in delivery? Midwives.
That's not traditional.
Midwives now.
Midwives. No.
Midwives.
Probably local midwives.
Maybe local midwives, but that's not even their name. There's a name for those traditional people who assist women in labor. They can't help that. Okay, they can't help that. I'm going to allow peace to come back.
Sometimes they try to turn the baby manually, and then
more complications. Yeah, in fact, I've even heard of cases where they even break the bone of the baby.
Yeah. Oh my Jesus.
So that the baby can come and they will break it. Oh yeah, they do that. I've heard of such cases.
Sometimes they rupture the placenta and
they do that. Yeah, they rupture the placenta, causing more complications. And you see, that's why the infant mortality rate it's been high, and then the education has to be there now. To bring this to, I want us to talk about what are the things that people should look out for. I saw a picture on social media 2 days ago or yesterday of children who were going for excursion and they were on top of the river. Did you see that picture, Peace?
Yeah, I did.
I almost threw up.
I did.
They were on top of the river.
Don't know people live in that country. It's not even that country. I don't even know people live.
No. I don't like jacket.
For the life of me, since I've had some stories of children coming to school from school in school buses, and the school bus got burnt, and all the kids there died. I don't have kids then, but that was it for me. Like, my children would never go to school in school bus, never. That for me, that was it. I will never put them there. I won't. So when I began to see these excursions and trips, even before kidnapping started, for me, I'm like, why are parents responsible for crying out loud? The excursion on top of that water, no life jacket, no life vest, and I look closely at the faces of those children. Those are not children from poor homes. Go back and watch that picture. Why did I refer to that picture, to that story? And that is where we're going to round up today. You see, just like in the case of that school, there are many parents who do not even know what to look out for when enrolling their child for a school. These same parents don't even know what to look out for when enrolling or registering for an hospital, for your childbirth, for your antenatal care. So those are the things I want us to actually talk about now. I want us to talk about people are pregnant. what are the things to look out for? What are the things to start doing? Let's leave general care or take vitamins, do all of this. But in the case of, okay, preparing towards your main day from the first trimester, what are the things to, because what some of the things we've talked about today, like the issue of cost, is there. We've talked about religious beliefs, cultural beliefs, is there. Things that just put fear in people's mind.
Can I have one other reason?
Well, okay, yeah, go ahead, please.
Lack of trust of medical doctors.
Oh yeah, we have talked about that one. Please mention that they just give you a bill. They just tell you must do CS when you don't even need CS. And that
it happened to my elder sister.
Right. So we can go to it. So what should a woman look out for? You are in your first trimester. What are the steps you need to start taking towards, avoiding all of these stories that touch the heart? Who goes first now?
The phrase of questions.
Okay.
Do you mean that? Okay.
What should a woman look out for? I mean, what should a woman do? You're pregnant, you're in your first trimester. What should you do in preparation towards your delivery? In all the things we've spoken about that put fear into the minds of people as regards CS.
I would say due diligence.
Okay.
Same due diligence you put in when you want to get a house. The same due diligence. You won't just see a house and just go. I don't know whether it's just me, but for even as little as house, I asked people on the street,
right,
what kind of house is that?
That house.
What's the turnover rate in that house?
Well, people just moving and moving out.
Yes. Well, and if you're going to have a child, I think for me the first thing is to start shopping for a hospital and looking for reviews.
Right.
Looking for reviews. I don't know how big.
Okay, now the Canadian reviews are
no.
In Nigeria, there might be no reviews.
No, not okay. Like maybe because I talk.
Reviews.
Maybe because I talk. Then when I was to have my daughter, I know May Hospital where I had my first child. We moved to Ikorodu, and I was to have my second child in Ikorodu. I didn't know any hospital that you can't judge a hospital by the size
or the building. True.
So what I did is
very true.
But in the staff bus, I tried to make friends with most of the women there who had kids. Tell me about the hospitals. What's the best hospital in Ikorodu? They would tell me. Why is that the best hospital? You understand? I started asking questions. I went in there and I looked at their facilities. Okay, I want to see. And initially, the one of the hospitals were like, no, we are this, we are that. I said, no, I want to see. I want to see. You understand? So if we put in like extra effort to ask questions, you understand? You're in church and your church is in that locality.
You wanted to see? Did they allow you to go? Did they allow you to go?
They did.
Of the hospital?
Yeah, I met with I went to
that actually is a good hospital. Because
I met with the MD of the hospital. I met with the MD of the, and I said, yeah, I want to know what's up. And he told me about his certificates, told me how long. We had a discussion. He told me how long he's been in practice. He told me members of his faculty. He told me the qualification of the doctors there. He had a gynecologist. He had was this general practitioners. He told me everything. He it's how you present yourself. If you just come in and all you're talking about is just every other thing except the main thing, and you're coming in to prospect and to check if that is where you would want to have your baby. While you are there, you see the way nurses are talking. Somebody just while you're still sitting down, and people came for antenatal. And you ask, how are you? Nice day. Your baby is beautiful. Thank you. And so how was your delivery this day? How were the nurses? Because it's one thing to have a hospital that has all the facilities and the care is zero.
The care is zero. True.
And the care is zero.
The facility is just trash.
Yeah. So I made sure when I attend antenatal, I ask the women. So for me, what I did was to register in a private hospital, and I registered in Ikorodu General Hospital. I did that.
That is a vital point. You register, and some people are not smart enough. They register only in the private hospital. Now, if you live in Lagos especially, it's reason for you to register in both. Because if there's an emergency or a complication, the private hospitals will refer to the general hospital, and if you are not registered there,
on your own,
that can be that's the few minutes or hours of waiting for registration. The hassles they will put you through might be all that is needed to save a life.
Exactly.
So most people don't know that, and then when you're talking about going for antenatal. I want to ask you that. I remember antenatal in those days. They go there to sing. They will sing. They will dance.
No, I was even for the general hospital stuff. It wasn't even singing. Yeah, they would sing.
Yeah,
not singing for more than 5-10 minutes max.
Okay.
They took time to teach. Yes,
it's important. I advocate people should attend those antenatal sessions, especially for people who are having their first experience in pregnancy. You need to go there, be exposed to the things that we'll talk about. Those people are trained, and I was just making light of that singing because, of course, that's probably the only way they can pass across some messages to the people who are coming to their hospitals, okay? And then one thing you said is to watch two things, actually. The first one is, do they listen? You see, when these tips are also applicable, not just for where you're going to have your child, it's also applicable for the school your kids will attend. Why will you take your child to a school that the principal of the school is not even listening to you, a parent? How are you sure they will listen to the child? If the child listen to the teacher is not even giving you any attention, before you say ABC, she's talking over you, she's silencing you, how will they listen to your child in that school? They won't. The same applies to the hospital. You go to an hospital, look at it. You ask them at the front desk, what is going on here? Somebody is giving you an attitude. And Nigerian nurses are very good at that. They are the demigods. They are gods on their own. They will give you an attitude. They will just look at you like you offended them or you took their husband. Like the man who give you belly, but they're supposed to marry him. I don't get. You have them in that profession. Lots of them in that profession. And it shows lack of professionalism. And people don't know all of these things. They just go there, they don't even pay attention, and they just enroll. And then one simple mistake, a nurse who is having a grudge with a doctor can make things go wrong just to frustrate that doctor. And guess who is going to be at the receiving end? Is the patient. Look at the relationship. You didn't listen, you said that, and what their service delivery. How do they attend to, you just go there, are they attending to people? Are they swift? What is the care level? One big hospital in Lagos again. The owner is a top surgeon. In fact, he was rated #1. His own daughter had fibroid surgery. Somebody just finished fibroid surgery, and she needed to move from one floor of the hospital to another floor of the building. And there was nobody to assist her. And she carried herself and she was walking to the other floor. That was where she slumped and died. The daughter of the owner. So you can imagine what they would have been doing to other people who come to the hospital. That's what I'm saying. Care. It's not enough to have many people have money, they look at the building, everything is there's an hospital in Lagos. I won't mention name again. This is what I do. I have the list. If you want, I will tell you. There is one in Lagos that they charge you based on the kind of car you bring. The MD asks the camera of the parking lot. He has it in his office. So as you are driving, he's watching you. The bigger your car, the bigger your diagnosis, the bigger your bill. Okay, let's go to any other. What are the things to look out for?
Interesting. Well, from my own experience, I would actually say that from my 4 different experiences, I observed that the hospital that had midwives, I had a better experience of childbirth than the ones where I had the doctors attend to me. So I found out that some hospitals have midwives.
I say that again. You mean
it's not all hospitals that have midwives, so even big hospitals, not all hospitals.
Right. You mean those you had hospitals that had only gynecologists assisted with nurses?
Yes.
And then there are hospitals that have midwives
assisted by with nurses and doctors, yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you are talking about
having doctor, a midwife, but the midwife will be in charge of the delivery.
Midwife makes a difference. That's what you're saying, right?
Yes, a lot of difference. If I remember that the first one,
I agree.
The first one, I didn't even know I had a very busy life when I had my first child. So I didn't go for all the antenatal classes. And my delivery was so fast. So when people talk about how their first time was so painful, I didn't have that experience because of the midwife. So I thought it was going to be like that. You know, I was in the by the time I came into the hospital, it took me a minute before I knew it. I was dilated within an hour, and I had to go into the labor, and I didn't even know how to push. Right there and then, she gave me lessons, that made a lot of difference. It was smooth. It was not painful. So when I came, I was like, is this what I mean? And people will say pregnant delivery is painful. It wasn't.
You had somebody.
By the time I had my second child, oh my God, there was no midwife. I went to my name went to Ellen. In fact, the doctors were fighting in the labor ward.
What?
I'm telling you, a very big hospital. And I had to shout at them and send both of them. I didn't want both of you. They should come another doctor.
Wow.
But thank God my husband was there. He took charge. That's what I'm saying, that in Nigeria, other places may not have to pray if they are going to deliver. And you'll be fine. But in Nigeria, you've got to pray. Not because something is wrong with what, because something is may be wrong with those people that will attend to you.
It's everywhere. Even abroad, you have to pray. Something could be wrong with doctor, even abroad.
So I mean, it was obvious that if I do not take charge, these people are going to make a mess of my life. And I have to say, both of you get out. I don't want to see either of you. Can I get a different doctor?
Wow.
So when I had my third child, it was a midwife too. Smooth. I got into the hospital around 8. The doctor was saying, it will take you won't give birth at 2 p.m. It was fast. Even before the doctor came in, I'd given birth. It was a midwife that attended to me. Very sweet woman. It made a lot of difference. Wow. And then the final one too, that labor took a longer time than the rest, but she was there. She was a midwife again. She knew what to do. She took charge. Even when the owner of the hospital came in, because they were like, they know my husband, so they were like, she came in, and I needed to be induced, but their policy in the hospital is they will not induce you until it's obvious that you cannot. The moment and I kept her, I said, please help me. And she was like, don't worry. And the point, you said, don't worry, let madam go. And then she did. Of course, once you're induced, it's going to be very fast. Yeah. But then, it was very fast. She knew what to do again. And the baby came out fine. It was a more difficult experience, but not like when people talk about, that they were induced.
Right.
So I know for a fact that having a midwife helps a lot. It's not just about the gynae. Gynaes are good to guide you through the development of the pregnancy and all that, and maybe surgery. But if you want to have a natural delivery, a midwife makes a lot of difference.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
One.
Okay.
One. Then
right.
I had a lot of the last hospital where I gave birth, even though they had a midwife, the delivery was smooth, but my recovery was very slow. And that was because they don't know what it means to care for, that care for a woman who just went through that was not there, and all that. And the first thing is my first experience, like I said, the first hospital, then I was living very close to Keja. So it was a beautiful hospital. Once if it's your first child, you're going to be in the hospital for 72 hours. You're not going nowhere. And that 72 hours, if you give birth during the weekend, that the gynae was not there, you can't even leave after 72 hours because the gynae will discharge you. The pediatrician will discharge your child.
That's the way it should be. Yeah.
So the 72 hours for the child for your child starts from when the
Wait. What is the name of the hospital again?
Droshole.
What?
Droshole.
Droshole. Oh, okay. Droshole. Okay. Good.
Yes.
Good. All right.
So,
yeah, because
that actually helps.
It is the pediatrician that should discharge your child.
Yes, it's the pediatrician that should discharge your child.
Can discharge you, and your child probably will still need more care.
In fact, I'm actually coming there.
Okay, go ahead.
I gave birth on Saturday. She came, she saw my daughter, Saturday to Sunday is already 48 hours. So normally by by Monday, that should be 72 hours. And then she was like, this child has jaundice.
Oh.
She tested the child and all that.
Right.
And they did. And we had to stay at the hospital till Friday. I didn't go home till Friday. And initially I didn't like it. But then a colleague of my husband lost her own child.
Wow.
A very big hospital, so I can actually mention. They were discharged and the child died right in the cab, in the taxi. The child was jaundice, they did not notice.
Jaundice?
Right in the car before they got home, yes.
That died of jaundice?
Yes, and my last child was going to die of jaundice to my baby. If not because my mom was so, she kept saying this baby is white. And the funniest thing was, my sister-in-law was around then. She was still in nursing school, or she was done. And my mom kept saying, check this baby, and she was saying the baby is fine. But this women, these grandmothers, they can be very persistent. And that was, I gave birth to him on Wednesday. A long time had already passed. By Sunday, when one of my elder sister came in, and my husband's elder sister too. And my mom was like, take a look at this baby.
Wow.
By the time we got to the hospital, it was an emergency.
Wow.
I mean, I would have lost him. So I'm always saying, what is the hurry in discharging kids? Some hospitals is just 24 hours. By the next day, they say because you experienced. So I was experienced, and I almost lost that child.
Yeah. Okay.
Now at Droshole, if you're a first mother, I mean, we call it prem. I mean, what's it called? I can't remember. It's a long time. But the thing is, I experienced so much peace. They took the child away from me and allowed me to rest. I rested a lot. I went back home refreshed. My last experience, oh my God, that's when I knew what postpartum edema was. My body, my feet was swollen for many days. Even when my baby had jaundice and they had to put him under photolight, they would, they will switch on the gem, use inverter, they just do anyhow. And so they would disturb me when the gen is back on, put the baby. It was terrible. So when I got home, my people were coming to visit me, I didn't want to see anybody. And I actually think it's highly insensitive to go and say a woman who just put to bed. Yes, we know you love her. It's insensitive. I don't like people coming to see me because there's a whole lot of stress.
We need to start.
People should just
seriously.
It's a whole lot of stress, and it slows down the woman's recovery.
Right.
Now, because of that experience, I suffered from what is called urinary incontinence. It took me a long while to. And a lot of women go through this thing, but they don't talk about it. When you cough, you leak. Very terrible experience. And it took me a while. Even with all the pelvic floor exercises, it wasn't easy. It took me a while. So pregnancy takes a lot. On the woman's body. So I think a man and husband and wife need to work together. It's not just the woman thing. I've seen women who drive themselves to the hospital to go and put to bed. It's fine, but sometimes when your husband is there, he can check some things. Like my husband was there every step of the way. So, because the woman will not even notice a lot of things are happening around her. Some men will say they cannot stand. You have to stand it too. Or you can rehearse. YouTube is there. You need to take the lessons. Watch.
Doing the thing in the room. You didn't stand it when they were doing it.
I'm telling you, it can make a lot of difference. Because if they know that the man is there, they'll be more careful. Some of these people are not kind, especially the nurses. They can be so mean. But if the man is there, there are a lot of things they wouldn't do, even if it's for eye service, so that they can tip them later and all that. But the thing is, they will still be very cautious.
Very, very true. I agree with what you have said. And like I was saying something that I think we need to start that campaign. There was one strong word you used. It is highly insensitive of anyone to go and start visiting and disturbing a woman who just put to bed. It's a very rigorous process. People just take it for granted. And a lot, like I said at the beginning of the show, there are women who have not recovered. 10 years after delivery, they are still going out with the things that, I mean, came after that delivery. And these are things that could be avoided. There are hospitals where they put their feet on the ground, no matter who you are, they just allow one visitor to come in. Maybe the husband, the mother of the woman, every other person, no matter who you are, it is then you see people carry only water. Some will carry fire. They are coming to pray. What? For crying, and I think, thank God for, again, I'm sorry saying thank God for COVID. But COVID probably helped people to look, all these things, hospital is not tourism center. That somebody is healed, the whole church. Even I know people though, they will open register for their church once they have a member there, and they think that is how to show care. No, there are several ways to show care. That you care for someone or you love someone than that visit. That visit is not care. That visit is actually harmful, is dangerous, and is not helpful both for because now the woman during the day, babies they sleep during the day mostly. Yes. The woman that time is when that woman should take off to rest.
Sleeping, yeah.
But everybody is coming, visitors are coming. Now at night, babies don't sleep. That is the time the woman too won't be able to sleep. So she's not sleeping. Obviously, our BP is going to have issues. Our body will see, these are the reasons so many things go wrong and people just do not know. I believe that the show today has been educating and enlightening enough. We cannot finish it. We just started, and that's why you say you have two people. Me, I have not been pregnant before, and I cannot be pregnant. It's not a cause because I don't have the facilities to be. It wasn't working to me, all right? But, talking about these things from their perspectives, I had to put like somebody said, I had experienced both spontaneous and cesarean section delivery, both not the same, but neither of these is easy or without pain, which is the truth. Yes. I mean, neither is easy. So no woman should be put down. So we are saying that if CS has to be an option, don't rule it out. One other thing you guys didn't mention, I want to mention is having the scan of the child done. I will recommend that
important, yeah.
Yeah, there are hospitals where they do this on every antenatal visit. I also don't think it should be very frequent, too frequent, but at least
they do it 3 times.
At least
3 to 4 times.
3 to 4 times, yeah. Your first trimester, second trimester, at least at those stages, crucial stages, you should do the scan and see what you have. And then again, I was talking about this chimerism. Know where you go. All these things we talk about will also guide you. And then you're going, even for pharmacies where you buy your medications. These tips will help you, starting from security man at the door, at the entrance. That security man that you think is just watching thieves, he is the one when everybody has gone home. He's the one that they use to pack all the drugs or medications. He's the one that he can use the hand that he took to the bathroom that he did not wash. He can use it to watch the security guard from. In fact, there's this case that happened in Abuja, National Hospital Abuja. I'm calling them out. Many lives have been lost in that hospital due to the carelessness of the personnel. This case, this couple had a set of twins. Set of twins. Nigeria was playing a match. They had a crisis. The baby, one of the twins, needed, I think, blood transfusion. The guy that holds the key to where the blood, whatever is stored, locked up himself in another room watching Nigeria football match. And they looked for him. He was nowhere to be found. The baby, they lost that child. I'm calling them out. And I'm sure that guy, that person probably is a supervisor or a senior person now in that same hospital, killing more people. Killing more people. So like we said on this show, watch out for all of this. So many things to look out for. I mean, you're on the phone. You are calling an hospital on the phone. Somebody is rushing you over the phone. That is not the right hospital. If you don't raise up that issue, that concern, if you are going to the hospital, you should raise it up as a concern. Now, look, I called. The person I spoke with was impatient, was not even listening to me. And watch the reaction of the person you are reporting to. If they do something about it, you have found a place. If nothing is done, you have not found a place. Move on. Tenny Gregory is saying, excellent program today. Very informative. Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much for joining us. Viewpoint Ministries, yes, thank you. They said thank you to the gang. They said thank you to you. Right. So watch out for those things. Who is going to give you care? It is called health care. So if the care is not there, there can be no health in the actual sense. Then do those scans. Those scans will help you to know where you are. Take your vitamins, very important. Don't joke with them. Folic acid. Folic acid will prevent something like your child having cleft palate. You have kids that were giving birth to, and the fingers don't separate; they merge together. These are simple things that taking folic acid will prevent. Okay? I'm not saying don't go to church. Go to church and pray. I believe in prayers, like we have said. Pray, it is important. But pray more importantly for direction. And when I say direction, direction means let God lead you to where to go. Even pregnancy is the time for any mother, not just the mother, even the father, to be very spiritually sensitive. Seriously. And instruction could be all that will save that woman. It could be God just telling you just have that odd. No, this woman shouldn't stay at home tonight. Let's go to the hospital. And that's all. That if you sleep that night at home, you are a dead man. You are gone. You see, very sensitive. You know, it's not time for quarrel in the family. And if you're a single mother who is doing it alone as well, get help. Have a strong support system. Even if you are married, if your husband, maybe it's not enough. I tell people, you go to church, you belong to groups. Community is important. One importance of community is to get help at times like that, crucial times. Look for women who have gone through that stage. What is their experience? And don't look for those who will speak to you negativity. Look for those who will speak positive words into your life. You know, build that relationship. Have support systems. People who can help you. Don't be like the lady who was beaten by a snake in Abuja again. And she had to drive her children, first of all, to a friend's place. 15 minutes drive to drop the kids before driving herself to the hospital. The venom had already gone. That was when they were having snakes all over Nigeria. Remember that period? The first woman, the lady that was putting in the snake was in the toilet. That was why she was lost. You know, look, there must be, don't just, people are, you are going to live somewhere. Why are we going to live in a place where you have no friend, you have nobody to call upon, no one to help you in an emergency, and you cannot drive? Even if you can drive, how are we sure you can drive yourself in an emergency? If you are raising children, look at certain factors. How close are you to the nearest hospital? How close are you? If you are 10 minutes away, you are too far. The prescribed time for emergency services to arrive to save anybody is 4 minutes. If it's more than 4 minutes, it's a lost case. Even in countries where we can call 911. So talking of countries where 911 does not work.
It does not exist.
No, it does not. Sorry, it does not exist. So look at those factors. The hospital, how close is it to you? Just look at those things. There are things to actually pay attention to. We have really run like 25 minutes out of time today. It's a very interesting topic. Next week, we are going to continue. And next week, I will be talking, I want to talk more about people who find it difficult to even get pregnant. Okay, this part we spoke about today is often omitted because people just be like, the rush is more on those who are trying to get pregnant. The concern is not so much about people who get pregnant and lose it. And I tell you, that trauma is not easy. People who have miscarriages, there are people who lost pregnancies and then they've gone on to have other children and they are yet to recover from the trauma of that first miscarriage. Because the society doesn't talk about it. It's not important. They say the child is gone, is gone. It's not true. For some people, it's an experience that has to be dealt with. Next week, we will talk about getting pregnant. How do you get pregnant? And please don't tell me that if you touch a man, you will get pregnant. That is not what we're talking about next week. So that will be it for this week. Thank you all for joining us. For those who joined us this week, thank you so much. We want to have you back next week, same time. And for those who are going to watch the program after the show, we want to say a big thank you. And I want to say a big thank you to the members of the gang and who joined us today. You want to say bye-bye to everybody at home? Peace. You want to say bye? Juma, you want to say bye-bye? Let me unmute you. You are muted. You want to use I to carry all of us away? Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Okay.